Project management often hides uncomfortable truths. Now, many project managers face burnout, some lack authority, and are blamed for the failures beyond their control. Of course, stress leads to high turnover because with 1 in 3 project managers leaving within 2 years, that definitely is a challenge. There are meeting overloads which tend to cause skipped breaks, and of course, imposter syndrome becomes common. Understanding these challenges is critical for the survival in the role of project management because it's very demanding. Now let's start by looking at what the data actually says. From the existing data, we can see that project management is fraught with challenges. Now, data reveals that 7% of project managers experience burnout, 57% of them lack authority, and 1 in 3 of them leave due to stress within 2 years. It was also found that 67% are blamed for failures even when they are not at fault. Now, some statistics also reveal that over 60% skip breaks due to meetings, and 45% frequently face the imposter syndrome. Now, let's look at some of the major difficulties that project managers face. So first, let's look at authority without power. Now, project managers face the accountability trap. That means owning deadlines without control. They have budgets that are managed by finance, and they have resources that are managed by line managers. And of course, even the decisions are made by sponsors. So despite lacking authority, these same project managers are expected to deliver results. This disconnect between accountability and authority is a major frustration. Of course, this leaves project managers to explain delays without the power to actually prevent them. Next is the PM is always at fault syndrome. And what do I mean by this? Project managers often find themselves as scapegoats when projects falter. And despite 67% of project managers being blamed for failures beyond their control, they remain the most visible point of accountability. Now, issues like poor requirements or unrealistic timelines and resource cuts tend to become their burden. This tends to overshadow even the successful deliveries and usually impacts reputations long term. Now, project managers are the organizational pressure valve. They usually absorb stress from all directions. They're usually expected to stay calm and solutions focused. And because of that, most of the time they skip breaks and they work late, and that could lead to burnout. Now, stats show that 70% of project managers currently are experiencing burnout in some way or the other. Now, usually, because of the hybrid working since COVID-19, this has sort of exacerbated this because it has removed the commute buffer that once was the mental provision that allowed for them to ease out of burnout prior to COVID-19. You'd often find that senior project managers would find themselves trapped in endless cycles of meetings. This tends to consume between 60 to 70% of majority of their week. Now, of course, there are essential meetings like steering groups and sprint reviews, but this tends to leave little room for deep work. Ironically, the project manager tends to or tries to protect team time, but this comes at the cost of their own time because their own time remains unprotected. Of course, trying to squeeze strategic tasks into the margins of the rest of the day tends to be a difficult thing, and this is usually stressful for project managers. Let's talk about scope creep. Now, scope creep begins innocuously, but it can transform projects drastically. It's usually the leading cause of project overruns, and in many cases, it tends to put a lot of demands on the project manager to resist senior stakeholder pressures. Now, each minor addition from stakeholders or senior management tends to erode time, budget, as well as morale. And of course, we know that saying no to people of that within that organization or at that level requires political courage. And not many project managers have that. Of course, by the time these little additions are noticeable, successful delivery may become unattainable. Let's talk about imposter syndrome. Now, imposter syndrome plagues 45% of project managers, escalating to even 60% or over in cross-functional roles. Of course, balancing expertise across diverse fields like finance and technology and human resources tends to be daunting. Of course, each new challenge can undermine confidence, even if you've had success in the past. Now, often the most assured project managers are battling intense self-doubt internally. And of course, this highlights the relentless nature of the confidence crisis within the area of project management. Navigating organizational politics is crucial for project managers. A lot of success will hinge on managing sponsor agendas, a lot of departmental rivalries, and executive egos without formal authority. Of course, building coalitions and reading the room are core essential skills you need to have. Now, stakeholders may verbally agree, but they may block progress through inaction. Understanding these dynamics is often more crucial than technical expertise, yet rarely covered in project management certifications. So it's one to definitely look out for. Another thing to be aware of is boundary erosion. Now, boundary erosion in project management is a pervasive issue. The job demands endless availability, overshadowing your personal time, even with family. Now, cultural norms tend to reward this, making boundary setting risky. So project managers would, in many cases, underreport hours, trying to mask unsustainable pace. The quote-unquote temporary nature of crunch periods is usually misleading, because in most cases, as one sprint would often lead into another sprint, there is no time in between, and that perpetuates a cycle of imbalance. In matrix organizations, the team members juggle multiple commitments. Of course, this dilutes loyalty to any single project. Building a cohesive team is usually time intensive, yet losing key members mid-project can quickly dismantle progress on your projects. Of course, contractors and shared resources further complicate leadership, because emotional investment in team culture often dissipates as the project gets towards completion. This highlights a hidden cost for project managers that most people don't talk about. Now, some people don't even talk about the invisibility paradox, because the invisibility paradox highlights how a project manager's best work often goes unnoticed. Of course, when everything is running smoothly, it's due to proactive crisis prevention and conflict resolution. Yet, this seamless execution is undervalued by most senior executives and most stakeholders, or some stakeholders, because they focus on outcomes. They don't focus on the intricate aspects and actions of the project manager behind them. Ironically, visible firefighting would tend to garner you more recognition than the subtle art of prevention. And this is something to really point out as a dark side in project management. Now, with all these things, people would say, why do project managers stay? Project managers stay because the role is uniquely impactful and definitely rewarding, because they shape organizational outcomes. They wield transferable skills, and of course, they enjoy top quartile salaries in most cases, or at least relatively. The role offers continuous growth and, of course, leadership development, because if you're managing without authority, that hones, in many cases, instincts in you. Ultimately, project managers deliver tangible results and creating something that is, in many cases, new and also fulfilling. And that's why project managers tend to stay. So the big question with all of this is, how do you protect yourself? I would say that you should clarify authority by negotiating your responsibility, who is accountable, who needs to be consulted, and who needs to be informed, which is the typical RACI. Make sure that the escalations rights that are agreed upfront, and try to document every decision and risk from day one. Make sure you set clear personal boundaries, because that would help prevent any form of burnout. Now, build a project management peer network for support. This is usually very important. Try to stay certified, because that helps you stay in touch with what's happening in the general project management world, but it also helps you boost your own confidence as well. And obviously recognize when to walk away from toxic projects. Not every project will be for you. So these strategies will help you navigate the challenges effectively. So before you go, just want to talk about a few things that we offer We offer project management training at pmgts.uk, and that would help you with certifications and also anything around project management. We have several clients all around the world, so we can always make arrangements to deliver it anywhere you are. We also want to introduce you to AI for PMs, which is ai4pms.com, where you can find free resources and tools in terms of artificial intelligence in project management. And of course, if you're looking for a project management tool that is AI, that embeds AI and uses AI to make life a lot easier for project managers, we have projecttoolbox.com. Now, my name is Dr. Tio Bitse. I've been delivering projects for the last over 20 years, and I'm also a doctor of philosophy in complex projects. I'll see you in the next video. Have a wonderful time.